Sorry, Darona. I was starting the live stream on YouTube and I couldn't communicate with you guys. Yes, we do have a quorum.
Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, welcome to the special call meeting for the CVTA TAC. I will be serving in Todd's place today, and hopefully we will get you out of here fairly quickly. Chet, do you want to go? I don't know. I know you said with the change in the code, we may not have to read the statement, but the statement regarding virtual meetings.
Yeah, so the statement is in the agenda packet and was available for consumption prior to the meeting, so we don't have to read through it. If anyone has any questions that's on the line, we can certainly address those, but if it's your choice, Darona, we could just move on.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, now we'll do the roll call and certification of the quorum.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'll start with the roll call for attendance. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos. Charles City County, Miss Russell. Chesterfield County, Miss Smith. I think she was having some technical difficulties this morning. I don't see her right now.
She was here earlier.
She was. Miss Walker.
I'm here.
Goochland County, Mr. Coleman.
Nicole, she's here.
Thank you. Mr. Kilduff. Hanover County, Mr. Vidunas.
Here.
Mr. Flagg.
Here.
Henrico County, Mr. Yor. Miss Smidler.
Here.
New Kent County, Miss Leduc. Powhatan County, Mr. Pompey.
Here.
Mr. Chardine.
Here.
City of Richmond, Miss Clark.
Here.
Mr. Bridewell.
Here.
DRPT, Mr. Brule.
Here.
Ms. Dubinsky. VDOT, Mr. Mann.
Here.
Mr. Riblet.
Here.
GRTC, Ms. Torres.
Here.
Ms. Del Ross.
Here.
RMTA, Ms. Dean.
Here.
And Plan RBA, Mr. Parsons.
Here. I
And
see
I
Ms.
can-
Smith is with us now.
Yes, thank you. And I can certify that we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on, are there any considerations for amendments to the action meeting agenda? Not hearing any. We'll move to the public comment period. Chat, have we received any comments via email or some other form prior to the meeting?
We have not.
Okay. Then we have the chairman's report. Todd's not here, so I'm not going to give one. Just kidding. But no, I don't have a report. On to the meat of the meeting, and that is to really address the agreement of revenue transfers between the Virginia Department of Transportation and the standard project agreement for funding and administration. So we have the draft document that's been circulated. I think it would have gone out on Monday, and hopes that everyone had a chance to look at both versions, kind of what we discussed in our last meeting in detail, which would be on the red line version, and then the clean version, which is what we would hope to advance to the full body on this upcoming Friday. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chet.
Okay, thanks. And I can share the red line version on the screen if that's the choice, but Eric is here with us, and I would actually ask him to kind of just walk through what the conversation was, and Shane as well, when we discussed this with the commissioner and others most recently. So, Eric, if you don't mind, what's your preference? Should I share the red line version?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea so everybody can see the changes that were made since the prior version. And Shane, Shane and I hadn't discussed doing this prior, so I don't want to put him on the spot, but Shane, I might ask you to jump in from VDOT's perspective as we go through this. And Barb, also please feel free to jump in and provide your input. Just as a preliminary matter, just so everybody knows how this latest version was developed. After the last version was circulated, there were some outstanding concerns, primarily from Chesterfield County, expressed about some of the provisions in the draft SPA. So because they sort of were taking the lead on expressing some of those concerns, we developed a small ad hoc sort of working group consisting of Barb and Jeff Minks, Chesterfield County Attorney, Shane, Commissioner Brick, and Laura Farmer from VDOT, and myself and Chet. And we worked very quickly and spent a lot of time together going through different changes and exchanging different versions, and had a couple of offline conversations about these things. And then this red line version and the clean version that you have before you today came as a result of those conversations and revisions. And this was prepared by Michael Westerman, who's the legal counsel for VDOT. And I'm sorry, he was also included in those discussions as well. And I will hand it to Commissioner Brick and Laura Farmer and Shane and Michael Westerman for being very cooperative on this, and also for Barb and Jeff's leadership on pushing for these changes. I think we have a better SPA, better not only for the CVTA, but also for VDOT, and it provides some clarity and also some additional flexibility, which is necessary. So with that, we'll go ahead and walk through it. As you'll note in the red line version on your screen, there's nothing changed in the first several pages from the prior version. So just scroll on down, Chet, until you get to the bottom of page 3 there. Footnote's been eliminated, obviously, because that's been addressed. There in paragraph 5 at the bottom, you'll see, if you scroll down, it makes more sense if you scroll down to the following page. The change there at the top of the CVTA authorized representative. And you're going to see authorized representative reflected in these changes throughout the document. And the reason for that is that prior versions of this document had referred to the CVTA executive director having certain authority to approve changes, to make decisions on projects and that kind of thing. As we all know, at present, CVTA does not have an executive director. So the question was, well, how are we going to deal with changes or decisions that need to be made during the course of a project? Are we going to have to run those up the chain all the way up to the full CVTA body for decisions like on minor change orders? Is everything going to have to go up all the way to the CVTA? And of course, that's unworkable. You just can't have that. There needs to be somebody in a staff capacity with authority to make those changes sort of as they develop during a project, as we all know. So the idea is that for any given project, the CVTA will have an authorized representative with the authority from the authority board to make those kinds of decisions, and that will be made clear at the onset of a project who that person is. Now it could be a member of a locality, like your chief of public works or whatever, director of public works, or it could be who has the authority from the CVTA to make those decisions, or it could be a CAO or a CVTA staff member like Chet, whoever that person is. And ultimately, it could wind up being an executive director of the CVTA if one is put in place. But whoever that person is will be designated by the CVTA. It could be the same person on every project, or it could be a different one. There was a desire to make sure that the understanding was that person may not always be the same person, right? It could change from project to project. So we believe this language accomplishes that, and you'll see it throughout the document. And VDOT is of that view as well, that it can be a different person. Okay, so keep scrolling down. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to either just speak up now. I can't see anybody raising a hand or anything like that. So you're going to have to speak up if you have a question, or you can hold your questions to the end, whatever you prefer to do. So keep scrolling down now to page 5. There's a minor change there at the top. I don't think it's substantive. Scrolling on down. Oh yeah, top of page 6. There was a desire just for VDOT to share project documents along the way as they were developed throughout a project at key milestones or upon request by the CVTA, just so the CVTA is well informed with everything going forward. Not a big deal. Scrolling on down here. I'm now going through page 7 and just keep rolling. At the bottom of page 3 again, at the bottom of page 8, paragraph 3 again, you'll see that authorized representative or program coordinator. Program coordinator is also utilized as a way to designate someone with that authority. Scrolling on down. Okay, now Article 8, dispute resolution. This is a key change. So there was some concern about how disputes were going to be resolved, how many levels of sort of staff review or staff attempts there might be, or structures there might be to allow dispute resolution to occur prior to getting to litigation, right? Everybody wants to avoid or provide adequate allowances for disputes to be resolved before somebody goes to court. So this structure was put in place to provide a structure for dispute resolution. They will, the authorized representative and the VDOT representative will try to resolve it. If they cannot do that, then it will, it may require a conversation between the CVTA chair and the commissioner, the VDOT commissioner, to negotiate the issue. And then ultimately, if they reach a resolution, it may go to the governing bodies of for the CVTA itself and to the CTB for approval of those resolutions. But then if they still can't resolve it, then the parties can go to court if necessary. That would be a last resort, but obviously necessary in some extreme cases. So that's, I think we're good with that. Okay, so the next major change is at the bottom of, at the top of page 12 there. There was those two paragraphs, A and B. The desired objective here was to make sure that federal funds are spent first, or if there are savings on a project, that the savings are first applied to local funds, then state funds, and then federal funds. So I think this language, this language does provide for that. The idea is that, if you have savings on a project, you want those savings to be enjoyed first by the local governments, and then with regard to the state funds, and then to the federal funds. And if there's additional funding available for a project, you always want to spend federal funding first before you get to that the state or the local fund. So there's a tier approach. Always spend federal money first, then state money, then local money. And this language achieves that. So that should be good. Again, there, paragraph, Article 10, paragraph 1, the authorized representative mentioned there. So paragraph number 4 there in the middle of page 13, again, that change is to provide for the notion that we will spend federal funds first if there are additional costs for a project. That's standard operating procedure with local projects administered by VDOT. And then paragraph 5 applies that same concept there. And then paragraph 6 again, spending federal funds first before expending state and or CVTA revenues. That's for right-of-way condemnation. Additional costs for contractor claims, paragraph 7. Again, that same concept being applied again of spending federal funds and then state and then CVTA funds in proportions as agreed by the parties at the time, with the goal of expending federal funds first before expending state and or CVTA revenues. Scrolling on down here. And that's, if you see on page 16, that's where the authorized representative will be identified and in other places if necessary. Let's see, and that is it. We do have changes to the appendices. Appendix A, Barb was really helpful in developing the appendices a lot more than what we had from VDOT, and VDOT was largely accepting of that. You'll note that these are where we'll set up the project scope, schedule, basically the critical path forward for all these projects. And let's see, project budget and cash flow sets forth all those scheduled expenditures and cash flow. And then the generic form of payment requisition there as the next Appendix C. And then the detailed PAYGO request form. And the reports to be provided by VDOT. Monthly project expenditures, no changes there. And that is it. So with that, if there are any questions, happy to try to answer them, or if Barb, if you want to jump in with additional comments or explanations, happy to defer to you, or Shane, if you have some comments. I think procedurally, what we would suggest is that the TAC recommend the full authority re-adopt the MOA, now incorporating exhibits A, B, and C, and they are A is the monthly financial report, which was distributed. That's basically just an Excel spreadsheet that VDOT developed. That would be exhibit A to the MOA. Exhibit B would be this model SPA with all of its appendices. And then exhibit C is just the CVTA legislation, the code sections from the state code about the CVTA. But we would recommend that the TAC recommend to the authority approval of the full MOA again with incorporation of all the exhibits, so that we have a full package that would then, hopefully, once approved by the authority, be in a position to be approved by the CTB, and we'd be good to go. Barb, Shane, you all have anything to add?
Dorona, I had something. This is Barb. One thing that is different from with the SPA than previous versions was we took out some of the cash flow stuff that was in the appendices. So there used to be like a fiscal year cash flow and then a project activity monthly cash flow chart in the appendices. And I think the Hampton Roads agreement has that in there, but VDOT was apprehensive about being locked into that sort of cash flow, and we've moved that language into the body of the agreement itself. So we're talking about cash flow in the body of the agreement, and it would just be supplemental information that we would get from VDOT if we ever needed it in order to manage the finances on the project. But otherwise, Eric, you definitely touched on everything. And personally, I think I'm willing to make a motion that we recommend the CVTA approve the revenue transfer agreement between VDOT and CVTA, including these exhibits, the SPA, the reporting form, and then the legislation.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Joe Valdez, I second.
All right, the motion has been properly seconded. Nicole, would you like to take the roll call?
Yes, ma'am. I'll start with Charles City County. Ms. Russell has joined us.
Aye.
Thank you. Chesterfield County, Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Goochland County, Mr. Coleman.
Aye.
Hanover County, Mr. Vidunas.
Aye.
Henrico County, Ms. Smidler.
Aye.
New Kent County, Ms. LeDuc.
Aye.
Powhatan County, Mr. Pompey.
Aye.
And City of Richmond, Ms. Clark.
Aye.
And that concludes the roll call.
Yay, we did it. Thank you, Barb, for all of your persistence. And I can remember an email you sent early on about how we would have to undertake this process. And I thank VDOT so much for their cooperation and really helping to ensure that this SPA agreement is really what will be the template to move our projects forward for the CVTA. So I definitely want to appreciate everyone for all of their efforts and time in getting this moved forward. With that, I will ask if any TAC members have any other comments.
Duran, I have one.
Yes, sir.
I think I just wanted to remind everybody that Friday's authority meeting, we are having a public hearing, and there is we're using Zoom webinar, which allows us to check in folks, and hopefully we're going to be able to mirror kind of an in-person sign up with your name, and then we'll call on anybody who wants to participate in the hearing. So all the elected officials on the board should have gotten, and anybody with speaking roles should be getting a customized link to join the meeting. And please let me know as you check in if they don't have that link, and we'll make sure that happens. Let myself and Nicole know. But we've tested it. I think it's going to work pretty well, and hopefully it'll lead to a productive and efficient meeting.
Looking forward to it. Does anyone else have any comments? All right, the CVTA TAC next meeting is going to be on December 7th. And what time is that, chat? Well,
Darona, it's going to be at 1 o'clock.
Okay, so 1 o'clock on the 7th. And so I'm looking forward to seeing everyone then. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Quickest meeting ever.
Bye,
Yay.
everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Barb.